Hey everybody, and welcome to the PlantStock channel. Jesse here. And today I thought I would go into a new company and take a first real look if I could see any potentials there. And the company is going to be Good Natured Products. And why I've chosen that is because I recently did a poll on my channel and it showed that most people right now of my subscribers are interested to hear about this company. So here we go. And just to start the ball rolling, right, I must say that I feel quite bullish after looking into this company more specifically now, considering the time and age we live in, right? Now people are caring more about what's in the plastics and the products, plastics that are actually destroying our oceans, but the products containing petroleum and other carcinogenous ingredients. And considering the Gen Z and the millennials, they're even more adamant on this kind of products, right? But as you will learn also throughout the video is that I would say that this is one of the safest stocks out there or safest companies out there because they're very diversified. They have different products. They have about 385 different items, right? That they're selling through 5 different industries, which makes them quite safe when there's volatility in the market that could be caused by pandemics like we've had now for a year and is continuing, and they've still been doing great and getting a great revenue, but also financial crisis. Because these different segments and different industries, they're not going to stop needing to buy their products. Everyone needs the different plastic containers and films and packaging goods. So they won't just stop buying that during different crises. So, and if one of those industries, let's say the restaurant industry during a pandemic would shut down, yes, they won't be buying it, but there'll be plenty of other businesses. So they're safe when it comes to revenue and margins. I also thought I would let you know that I've looked at a few interviews with the CEO, Paul Antionadis, and got an idea the way he looks at the company, his vision, his understanding, his background, which is vast. And I will actually add some information during the video. But as always, before we get to it, I would truly appreciate an early thumbs up since it really helps spreading the message out there. And if you want to keep getting information regarding Good Natured Products, want me to cover their news, and you want to be a part of that, make sure to subscribe. You'll get information regarding other plant-based companies as well, like the Very Good Food Company, Beyond Meat, Tattoo Chef, Else Nutrition, and the list goes on. All right, guys, really appreciate your help. So if we just begin with taking a look at the stock chart, ticker symbol GDNP, the Canadian version, we can see here it's around $1.19 Canadian dollars. And if we take a look at the 6-month chart here, we could see what exponential growth this stock actually has been through. At the moment, it has grown about 750%, and that is huge. But actually, just a couple of weeks ago, it was up to almost $2, which actually made it around 1,200%. So that is amazing gains so far. And even 750, nothing to complain about there if you invested in this 6 months ago. And not only 6 months ago, just a couple of months ago to begin with. So, but I still see that there's a lot more potential here. And we're going to talk about why that is. But before I move on, I just want to also let you know that there's a OTC version. And the ticker symbol for that is SLGBF in the American OTC. So it's in American dollars. And it's basically the same development here because they're interconnected. So we don't need to worry on that, right? So if we take a look at their investors page, they begin with talking about their North Star. Quote, become North America's leading earth-friendly product company by developing plant-based products and packaging and acquiring relevant companies that expand our assortment, customer base, and market reach. We'll talk more about what that actually entails. But after listening to the CEO in the different interviews, he assured us that it's all about taking over these traditional companies, packaging companies, or whatever material they've been using and converting them and making them plant-based, more healthy for you. And they're going to be the equivalent of the traditional version and might be actually even better. According to the CEO, sustainable product is the fastest growing compared to traditional versions. And I think we know why, considering that people care more and more about what they put in their bodies, right? Or what they work with. And if we take a look at the sales in the US, it's expected to go up to $150 billion in sales in total in this year, which means that there's a lot of growth opportunities for this small company. And the interesting about this market at the moment is that it's twofold. There's going to be private people who are going to buy these products and they want them to be safe, not only for themselves, but for their families. And then we have the companies, right? They want their customers, their consumers to have safe products. So it is perfect timing when it comes to the sustainable products. I also like that the CEO had a really good point in the interview. He talked about that more and more people are aware that food is important when it comes to health, and they might be buying more and more plant-based foods or other healthier alternatives. But sometimes they tend to forget that just because you buy healthy food, even if you have a vegan dish of some kind or a vegan cake or snack, if these food items is in a container that's a traditional petroleum-based product, that might affect your food anyhow in a negative way, right? Because we know there's leakage, right? These items, these ingredients might leak into the food, and then you eat it and you still get that stuff into you, right? So even if you go and buy a healthy salad with tofu with some really nice dressing, hopefully, that's not a guarantee that it's going to be totally safe for you or totally healthy if you use these traditional products. That's why, according to the CEO, he does see a lot of these plant-based companies being interested in taking in their products, right? But also, every company that does care about sustainability is showing more and more interest. So in order for this to work, that companies and consumers want to buy their products, they have to think about three things, right? It has to do with the ingredients, and their ingredients being plant-based, but it also has to do with the design, right? If the companies that are trying to sell these products don't feel that they're equal to the traditional petroleum version, they won't buy it, right? But if they feel comfortable that it is really good, they'll buy it, and it might actually be even better, according to the CEO. And the approach here is also important. That's thinking about what kind of pricing is it going to be based on. And here, according to him, it's really important that they try to give it at a good discount in the beginning, especially. So if we take a look at what they have to offer, there's 3 ingredient families that meet diverse customer needs. It's actually 4 now. Covered that in another video. Take a look at it now if you want to. But the 3 original one is pressed and molded fiber. So it's made from a variety of feedstocks. Our fiber products meet the needs of retail and restaurants who need zero waste single-use solutions for takeout and prepared meal. So you might be asking yourself, what is feedstocks? Well, the definition of feedstock is it's defined as any renewable biological material that can be used directly as a fuel or converted to another form of fuel or energy product, right? So any biological, any kind of food, I'm guessing even like grass, anything that is biological, basically, that could be put down, used as energy, and then you create something out of it. And then they have the chemically equivalent of HDPE or LDPE and the PET, which is bioplastics. They offer a growing assortment of bioplastics made from plant-based materials that can be fully commingled with traditional versions, right? And it's important to understand here, and the CEO was adamant about that these products, the bioplastics here, they don't break down, okay? They're not biodegradable, but they're not supposed to be either. So they're supposed to commingle with the traditional way of recycling. So if a person or a company wants to put and recycle their things, their products where they usually put it in, they can do that with these bioplastics too. So they can commingle and work together in that way, which will facilitate that process for any company so they can still keep using the same infrastructure. And I think that's a really smart move, offering different choices for these different consumers. And then we had the closed loop, the biodegradable. So you could say that's the higher standard when it comes to sustainability. So it's for customers who are ready to go all the way. Our biodegradable and certified compostable polymers create a full closed loop by turning back into soil to be made into more plants. And apparently it takes about 6 months before it has become fully degradable, right? That is actually has gone into the soil in a healthy way, depending on the product, how thick it is, how large it is, and so on, but usually around 6 months. So that's a full circle product here, right? But again, that's not what everyone is going to start buying in the beginning. And that's what the Good Natured Product company understands. So they have these three families to choose from, right? And he said several companies, they actually choose all three of them, but they try to meet them from where they're at the moment. Hopefully we will see more using biodegradables, but that's going to take time, right? Small steps. Now, another really interesting aspect with this company is that they're very diverse in what they offer. So they offer a leading assortment through multiple channels to diverse customers, which is packaging, general merchandise, commercial and business supplies, industrial, and services. And you can see here where they sell them at the national, regional, small businesses, e-commerce, and stores. And they're going to, of course, work on this list with time, but still, they cover most bases already. And according to the CEO, this is actually what makes the company safe to some extent, for not only for them when it comes to their revenue flow, but also for you as a stockholder, because this actually offers them a lot of revenue no matter what's happening in the market, and a lot of margins. Considering what's been going on this last year with Rona, the pandemic, right? Other companies, they've been falling down a lot, but that didn't happen to these companies because there are always going to be segments here of these different business groups that are going to need to buy their products. It's the same thing, I imagine, if there's a financial crisis. But all these groups are not going to stop buying them, right? They're not going to stop buying their products because they're still going to need them. So in that way, they're situated perfectly. So how will they grow their company, or what's their overall strategy, right? And it's actually twofold as well. So they believe that driving organic growth through new customer acquisition, cross-selling new products to existing customer base, and launching new products. And that means to attract new customers with leading assortment offering, direct sales team cross-sells to maximize customer account, new products added to drive new cross-sell opportunities. And he says that this is around 50% in revenue. And the other part, the acquisitions, would be also 50% of them. And the other part is acquiring companies to underpin future organic growth by adding new products, expanding our customer base, and opening up cross-selling opportunities. So what does that actually mean? Well, that basically means that what they do is they buy up other companies that sell these traditional products, right? They continue on selling them, but they change the whole process, the whole manufacturing process, and take out the petroleum ingredients, the negative for you ingredients, and use plant-based healthier versions, and then continue selling them. And the excellent thing here is that they don't need to then find a new customer base, right? Because they can use that company's existing customer base by giving them the same product, but in a healthier version. So if we just take a look at the revenue that they've had the last 6 years, you can see the 6-year compounded annual growth, right? That is about 153%. It's quite impressive. If in 2019, it was about 10 million and then 16 million now this last year. And you can see where they started out. That's an impressive growth for any company. And here you can see the year-over-year quarterly revenue comparison. And what's interesting here, 2020, they actually talked about that too. that during Q2, which was during the pandemic when it really started to happen, they still made a profit compared to the other years, which he felt really happy about. I mean, 44% gross margin there. And then Q3 up to 4.6, and last quarter, 5 million. So this actually does tell us something. Again, it kind of proves my point when I said that this is a volatility-proof company to some extent, right? Same with the stock, I would imagine, but it hasn't existed that long when it comes to at the levels it's at now. So we'll have to see. But I would imagine that, considering that during Roni Rona's beginning and during this whole year, which has been crazy, this company has just continued growing and growing. And it's partly also because they have actually started selling products to medical companies using medical equipment that is plant-based, and they're actually the only company that's selling that as in the moment, which means that they have a huge growth potential only in that industry, right? And they're really particular in this company with getting more and more raw data and getting more smart about it, right? What is it the customers are really asking for? What is it that they need? And they try to meet those needs, but only in the most possible healthy outlooks, right? But if we continue on the discussion we had before about acquisitions being one way of actually getting revenue and expanding the company, one proof of that would be these two companies that they bought last year that is actually already improving their revenue. Because yes, it is 16 million in revenue as we talked about here, but in actuality, it's actually another 17 million expecting to come from this company in revenue, which would actually make them have a revenue of 33 million, which means 100% growth in revenue already. So they bought this IPF packaging films in December of 2020. It's going to be highly synergistic. The addition of IPF more than doubles revenues on a trailing basis across nearly 100 customers, which adds 3.7 million adjusted EBITDA and drives margin efficiency through integration with Shepherd facility. So he also talked about how these two companies are actually dependent on each other. And that's also something that they're all about. It's an integrated business, which means that they produce the ingredients, they produce the product, and the end result will be that they deliver the packaging themselves. So they have all the steps. To some extent, they're vertically integrated. And you know about me on this channel, I love companies that are vertically integrated, which means that they have a huge advantage compared to a lot of other companies out there. So before we reach the conclusion here regarding the company, I thought we could just take a quick look at some of the members of the management team. And of course, the interview that I saw was with Paul Antoniadis, and he has an extensive retail experience. He was the former CEO of Best Buy Europe, which was worth $5 billion. And that's the kind of experience you want to see, right? He already worked in retail. He's in close connections with these kind of stores now, so he should know what he does, right? And also took a look at the chief technology officer here, Michael Labonte, a PhD in bioplastic packaging from the Montreal School here with deep chemical process engineering and design background, formerly at Bombardier, first to produce polycarbonate snowmobile windshield. And I feel that's what you want to have, right? As a chief technical officer, that he has an extensive academic background doing research, and he's done that. Actually, took a look at LinkedIn, and he has like over 33 years of experience with this. So definitely one of the older ones in the team, but that's what you want to see when it comes to the science and research behind it, right? Further down in the interview, we did find out some interesting things regarding a good sign overall when it comes to the company is that a lot of its shareholders right now are several of these customers that buy their products, right? They're becoming owners of the company because they're seeing how good the products are and they start buying shares in the company. And same thing with Everyday Joe. They're also starting to buy the company. And I think that is a really good sign, because if you feel that the product is really good, you've been using it and you're interested in it, and you think like, whoa, this is going to make me a bunch of money. Again, a clear indicator that people believe in this product. There's also another interesting discussion regarding what happens when they buy these petroleum-based companies, right? I mean, do they become plant-based directly, the versions then? And he said no. Usually it takes about 18 months, because it's a huge transition time there, right? So it doesn't happen like this. He doesn't have all that materials just lying around. It takes time to develop it, but around 18 months. And that's what's going to happen with IPF, for instance. Now it's going to take about 18 months before it's fully plant-based. After just taking a quick look at the financials, there weren't any surprises there. This company at the moment is obviously losing money, and that is the typical thing of a new established growth company. They're very small at the moment, estimated about 200 million Canadian dollars in market value. And that's when it's an innovative company, when it's a growth company, that's what we normally see. As we've talked about many times, Tesla was losing money for years and years. Yes, it's a totally different business, but still, again, every great company usually takes time before they make a profit. A company like this, you want to see them using their revenues for more mergers or acquisitions, right? To be able to expand the company, to innovate more, not paying off bills or paying off big loans. You just want to see them keep reinvesting in the company. That's how I look at it. It's the same thing with a very good food company. They're taking a huge loan at the moment, but that doesn't scare me at all, because that makes me believe that they're going to work on that expansion in whatever fashion they need to. There was another interesting aspect too that I will just remark on before moving on to the conclusion. And that is that the CEO talked about good nature being bought up with time, right? From a bigger company. And he says that could take about, I don't know, 2 to 5 years, but maybe 5 years until a much larger company will go in and buy them up and making them into their green division, because this would be fully perfected for that, right? And I find that a bit strange that they're already thinking about that. That's something that I feel is a little sad, but we'll see as we move on, right? But what would that mean for you as a shareholder? Well, most probably it would mean that you will make a lot more money in one go, right? Considering that if they looked at the market value, they would probably have to pay a lot more for it, which means that you go out as a winner. So what are my final thoughts on this? Well, I must say, this company seems really promising to me in many ways. I do see a lot of exponential growth in their future. Of that, I am not worried at all. Bearing in mind that they have a first mover advantage, right? Considering that there might be other plant-based companies out there that also produce similar products, but not that many in such a diverse group, right? I mean, they have 385 to choose from, so they're kind of set, which also gives them the chance to set the tone here, right? That other companies have to follow their streak here. But that actually brings to mind Ethan Brown as the CEO of Beyond Meat. And he was talking about Beyond Meat, but I think it really applies with Good Nature's as well. And that it's the right place at the right time. Considering the place and location, the headquarters is in Vancouver. They have factories all over Canada, but that in Vancouver, we know it's renowned in the world for caring about the environment, right? It couldn't be more perfectly placed there. And all around Canada right now, it's in politics, it's getting more and more important to do something about plastics. As we know, Justin Trudeau is banning single plastic items during 2021. I think it's going to be the end of 2021, which means that during this time and place, they're perfectly placed. They're perfectly situated. And I think that's really interesting. It's the same thing in the US, right? With Biden, who's just become president, that he's been talking about how he wants to support a greener economy, which hopefully will mean that American companies are going to try to invest more or buy more products that are greener, right? That are more sustainable. And who knows, maybe they'll get some form of advantage with getting some kind of support from the government to begin with? I don't know. It's usually when it comes to EVs, but I'm thinking it could be with other products as well. And I think, like we talked about before, we shouldn't forget about the Gen Z and millennials, right? For them, it's going to be all about sustainability because it's going to be their future and their children's future. And also, not only about sustainability, about what you put in your body, right? Because even if you don't eat these plastic items, you will get parts of it from eating food that was contained in these containers, right? They're not going to stand idly by and continue supporting industries that use petroleum or other carcinogenous products, right? So I think that's something we can feel pretty certain about. It's going to happen. We're going to move towards that kind of living. I really find their strategy to expand and create a bigger revenue source by acquiring other companies that they convert into their own and actually create the same products, but using more healthy and sustainable items. And then using their existing market and consumers. I mean, extremely smart move. And finally, I do like that it's a safe stock, a safe company in my eyes when it comes to different kinds of volatility that we can see in the world, be it the pandemic or other pandemics that will surely break out in the future, unfortunately, but also different finances crisis or any kind of crisis. They have 5 branches that they're relying on, right? So some of those branches are always going to have to buy from them, have to buy these kind of items and products, right? They don't just stop because there's a crisis in the world. So that's what I find interesting, that they can always have some form of revenue rolling in no matter what is happening in the world and controlling those margins then. So I'm very bullish about this company. You might have noticed. I haven't invested in them as of yet to disclose that, but I'm actually thinking more and more about it. Folks, let me know down in the comment. Have you started investing in them, or do you feel the urge to start doing it now? Please let me know. And guys, if you found some value in today's video, please smash that like button, since it will really help me grow. And if you want to keep getting more information regarding good natured products, because I'll keep covering them now, or other plant stocks, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button. And remember, this was not financial advice. These were just my own thoughts and opinions. It's important to always do your own due diligence and invest safe. Hope to see you guys soon. Peace out.